What is a proxy? And fundamentally, why is it important for you to understand what a proxy is when vibe coding and more specifically, leveraging artificial intelligence in the next 5 to 10 years? A proxy does something that if you don't understand what you're doing with it, you can really cook yourself and have a situation where you live gets blacklisted on a lot of different platforms. Okay, that sounds a little front loaded, but I'll be honest with y'all, that's real. Like, understand what a proxy is if you want to do really cool things. Let's do it. Let's jump in. What's a proxy? Let's find out. Oh my gosh, what's a proxy? Proxy time. Proxy easy. This is part of a very long series here called Vibe Coding Fundamentals, where you need to understand these terms. So when you're talking to your AI agents, you're not cooking yourself, okay? First off, what is it? This is going to look confusing. I know. Don't worry. We're going to jump in. It's going to make more sense. What a proxy really is that you're on your computer, you're on your phone, you make a request on the internet, on a website, a software, an app, whatever. And typically the website itself is going to receive information about where it's receiving the request from. For example, this individual, Tom, has a MacBook. The hardware is Mac OS. His IP address where he is San Francisco, supposedly, right? And we're going to dive into that. And then the website receives that information, whatever the request is, and goes back to it, right? Proxies have been here, but fundamentally have become more important in the last 3 to 4 years. Let's look at what it does. And this is going to just give you like a high level of understanding what the term is. But then I'm going to dive a little deeper here on the implications of why this even matters now, specifically in the context of leveraging AI agents and very long runs with them for them doing specific tasks. So there's two sides, but same idea, right? So you're a user. Think of a proxy as a way to hide, high risk things like maybe your actual physical IP of where you live. This idea here is that a proxy could be, this person's in Boston, but when accessing the website, it's telling the website that this individual is actually from San Francisco. Think of it like a VPN, to be honest with you. But the idea here is that it's like a filter, it's like a safety thing, right? And this goes the other way around as well, where if users access your website, we use a proxy when creating software to protect the original origin server room, which I know sounds extremely confusing. Make sure you watch my video on CDN. But to put simply, what this means is that when you set up your software, where it's like US Central 1, US East, or Europe, whatever, like wherever your physical server room is, and what a server room is literally just a computer. So whatever your computer is that you're renting to have your website on the internet, like you have your code running in this server room in Ohio. This, when serving said information, may use a proxy as well to say like individual from San Francisco accesses website. Hi. Can I see website, please? The information sent back when accessing the website, like the real code exists in Ohio. We know that because I told you that. It's a secret. But when this information receives it back on their laptop, computer, or whatever they're using, it may say that it's serving it from New York. And to be honest with you, it might actually be serving it from New York if you're familiar with content delivery networks, CDNs, edge servers, and everything of that nature. But the point being is that it goes both ways. Want to protect the user and want to protect the underlying software and application. So let's see this in action. Cute little diagram. And then I'm going to dive into some really cool examples. I am Tom again. Tom decided to get a new hairstyle. Tom goes to example.com. The request is then swapped by the proxy. As you can see, swaps your IP. So Tom's in SF, swapping the IP to say he's from Los Angeles, LA, Santa Monica. The site sees proxy. Who's this? And then the answer comes back. The site can intake this request, understand at a base level that the individual is supposedly from LA, and then that passes their security filters to then send the request back to Tom here, and Tom is happy. Tom is protected. So how does this work in reverse? If Tom accesses via a proxy, Tom gets information, protection. But coming down here, I think this clears it up for a lot of y'all that might be confused at this point at how this works in reversed for the company in this context. And this has a lot of overlap with CDN in that video, which obviously is a good thing because then you're connecting dots here. But the idea here is that Tom is back here again, San Francisco. He puts in a request, and then with an edge server like Los Angeles, this could be the front door. So Tom here makes a request, gets information out of Los Angeles, and it comes back. And this is what we know of CDNs and caching answers. Like it's a images, homepage, static files. And what I mean by that is like the original server here in Virginia, it literally has a file that's an image, right? Let's just say it's the logo. That image is copied and pasted into another computer in Los Angeles, which serves it. Get information back. So what's the protection here? User from San Francisco here is a bad actor. It's a hacker. I want your information. And you might be learning right now that if you access any website, then in theory, theory, it knows your exact hardware as well. Like, is this an iPhone? Is this an Android? Is this a Mac? Is this a Dell? Like, it knows this. And on the service level, it's not that big of a deal. But if you are creating AI agents that work in the cloud or work locally on hardware where it's accessing the internet, this is where this becomes a situation. I'm just a normal person. I'm not doing stuff with AI agents. This isn't relevant to you. But if you are doing stuff with this, why this is relevant for you is that you fire up an AI agent. Let's just say AI, okay? You fire it up, it's in a VM or it's on your computer. It's doing tasks on the internet. So it's doing actions on the internet. E.g., hey, can you pull up In-N-Out's menu? And then it like does a web search on In-N-Out's menu and gives you the information. Most of this is fine. But what you'll realize is that you're creating a trail. Like your devices are creating a trail here for your specific IP, which in most use cases doesn't matter. But if you create really in-depth systems here, like research agents or agents that may need to download stuff from certain websites like TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, your IP is actually something you fundamentally want to make sure is never associated with your AI agent, which brings into another topic here of residential IP addresses, or what they like to call residential proxies. Essentially, put it this way. Think of your personal real IP as your SSN, your social security number, like the thing you don't really share. It's high risk. Like you don't want to burn your social security number, because if you do, it's an absolute headache with identity theft, like that situation. Think of your real IP as that. Therefore, if you plan on using AI agents or everything of this nature, learn residential proxies, go into a chat with it. And why is it specifically residential proxies? Because what happens in this context is that the AI agent, when it's doing certain actions, e.g., you're using something like Firecrawl, which gives your agent the ability to get clean web data. It's hitting a bunch of website links. It's like getting information. This is an example where you'd use a residential proxy where the IP coming into the website server changes and rotates. And specifically, why is it residential? Because residential IPs typically perform at higher rates at getting information in this context than any other type of IP. And when I say residential, I mean like literally a neighborhood. Alternatively to you using a GCP server rooms API or IP, which translates to me basically saying the IP associated with that rented computer found in Ohio, you don't want to use that IP, because that IP has been, like, think of it. That IP is rented out and used by everyone that ever paid for GCP in Ohio. Therefore, not everyone's doing crazy good things. So that IP is a little cooked, right? You use residential IPs, and specifically a rotating residential IP, in order to do actions at scale with AI agents that you're running within your computer or a VM or local hardware. To put simply, proxies hide your SSN, or in reality, your original IP. And you saw a bunch of reasons why. So who cares? It's for privacy, right? You don't want to get DDoSed. I think it's called DDoSed. Is it DOSing? Doxing? Whatever it is. Basically, where people reveal your real location. This also allows for you to set filters and control what's coming in and out. And is also good for the context of CDN, proxy, edge servers, everything of this nature, where if you're in New York, you want to get served the website in New York, not served from Ohio, because of the associated latency with receiving data from the website. So you learn what a proxy is. Make sure to leave a like. And if you plan on doing really cool stuff with AI agents, make sure to stay tuned on this channel, as I am diving really deep into some local hardware called NVIDIA Spark. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So I'll see you in the next. The Corn Quad literally just explained what residential proxy is, and I should never expose my real IP type of video.